Welcome back, guys, to Andreas Fröhlich Poker, where I go into poker strategy and poker news. Today I'm gonna bring you a hand where Fedor Holz is put into a pretty tough situation in the $1 million tournament at the WSOP, but check it out yourself. The action starts with Byron Caverman moving it all in for a little bit less than 15 big blinds. Remember, we're now in the money, we got 5 people paid. The 5th place finish is 2 million, as you can see down here, and 10 million for first. Now, Byron Caverman will have a wide range here. It is potentially uncapped. People, when they have 14 big blinds, sometimes implement still a min-raising strategy, but it could also be uncapped with the stack side situation and ICM in play. It gets to Fedor, who is basically in a cutoff versus hijack situation, facing a wide range, and he picks up pocket tens. Now, pocket tens is pretty much way ahead of the shoving range. He pushes a lot of equity. However, he's still got a couple of people left behind him. You know, it could still be that Solomon or Bonomo here pick up a big hand, and sometimes, you know, with pocket tens, he can find a call and then fold to a jam. But now let's have a look at what happens after this. Now here's where the hand gets really interesting. Rick Salomon now sloppishly reveals the ace of hearts that you can see in this picture. He picks up the ace king suited and then jams all in versus the open jam by Caverman and Fedor Holz's call. I think at this point he was just thinking that he was closing the action and didn't realize that actually there was someone acting behind him, still having to make a decision. Back to Fedor Holz, he gets put into a really tough situation. In fact, now that he knows the ace of hearts of Rick Salomon, he knows that he no longer can have jacks, queens, or kings. And with that information, he now has more coin flips than, you know, being absolutely crushed by a bigger pair of his opponent here. Let's have a look together at what Fedor Holz might be thinking in the entirety in terms of technical analysis, so that when you are in a tournament situation, not necessarily in the one drop, but in a 500 euro tournament maybe, then you can make the correct decision, also factor in ICM and other factors in this spot. In tournament poker, there's a lot of factors to have a look at, but you want to have a step-by-step analysis when it comes to hands like this. And you start off with what is your opponent's range most likely in this spot. So in this situation, there is 7 combinations. As either your opponent's going to have the aces, you can see there's 3 combinations of them, or he's going to have ace king, 1 ace king suited, and then 3 other ace king offsuit, including the ace of hearts. It gets much more simple once your opponent reveals 1 card to you, of course. Now, against this range, you have to figure out your equity as a second step, and in this spot, you would have 40.5% of equity. The third thing is you're gonna have a look at the pot odds, and Fedor Holz needs 18.8 million here to call in a pot of 43.8 million. If you run the pot odds correctly, you're gonna find out that you need 30% of equity to make a plus EV, chip EV call. However, just to make chips in poker is not everything. There's also the additional risk of ICM you have to have a look at. And these additional factors we're gonna have a look at together right now as well. First of all, as I mentioned, there's the risk of ICM, and we call it the risk premium here for Fedor Holz. If you're in a tournament, you always need more equity to make a call, because, you know, if you just call for chip EV, a lot of the times you're gonna miss out on laddering up and scoring, for example, 4th place or 3rd place or 2nd place finish, and you're just trying to play for the win. By doing so, you would leave a lot of money on the table by disregarding ICM. The second decision that's really relevant here also to Fedor is the future EV of different tournament situations. I think that's also what he was thinking about in this spot, next to trying to figure out the exact math and his risk premium here in play. He can have 3 situations. A, he can become the chip leader by winning against both players. Hopefully his opponent's Salomon here is ace king, and he can, you know, win the flip and go directly to the chip leader and then potentially take this tournament down and head over to the 10 million. You can see how swingy this can become. The second option is he could lose the hand against both players, the short stack and the bigger stack, and then, you know, with a very high potential bust out 4th or 5th place. If the short stack loses at the same time, he's probably going to bust up 4th, but sometimes the short stack is going to win against the big stack, for some reason, and then he's going to lose against the big stack himself, and he's going to sit on 1 million and even potentially busting out fifth. And you have to, factor in the likelihood of everything happening. The last is, if he's folding, he's probably going to finish fourth if the short stacks busts here, and has even more potential to still win the tournament just with a smaller likelihood. Fedor Holz ends up making the call here, busting both Caverman and Salomon, ending up in the chip leader position in this 1 million in one drop. He then later faces Justin Bonham, who was an insane heater, but still and ends up losing to him in a heads up, but still a great result for him in the end. I hope that you enjoyed this analysis of this video, and the next time you're in a tough tournament situation, you think of this and try to put the puzzle together. Now imagine you would be playing, instead of a million buy-in, maybe a 500 euro tournament, and then you end up in a Fedor's spot, you make the call with pocket tens, and someone behind you wakes up with a hand and then jams against you. You have to ask yourself the question, is this guy really going all in with ace king in this spot? Because if not, if your opponent's gonna have checks or better, you're not priced in. Not only do you not have a profitable chip EV call, but also with the ICM factor in play, you're gonna have to make the laydown with tens all the time. You just can't go with your hand, nor could you with ace king. And then I think with ace king in this spot, it's often gonna be better with card removal, just go all in yourself first, so that your opponent can then not go ahead and jam his ace king himself, or for example, hand like tens or jacks, because if you go all in first, he's not going to have a very profitable call against your re-isolating range anymore. Now, if you did enjoy this video and got some value out of it, don't forget to hit the like button down here. It would really help me out a bunch. And then subscribe to this channel if you want to see more videos like this. And you can also find at the end of these videos some more related videos to this one. And if you want to see some more, I welcome you over there. Thanks for watching today, and then see you for the next one.